This is going to be very close to the muscular J-shaped structure. Okay, third part is the body part and fourth part is the pilus. Is the cecum part. Common bile which is going to release this juice into the duodenum is going to be the hepatopancreatic duct. My dear students, Asalamualikm warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome back to the biology video lecture series. I'm your biology expert Amreena and today we are going to take this discussion on life processes ahead. My dear students, this is going to be the fifth lecture for life processes and the topic which we are discussing is basically human digestive system. Now whatever is the content which is there on the board right now, I have basically discussed this in my lecture number 4. Now, what is the reason I have retained this information on the board is that as promised today, I am supposed to draw a diagram with all of you people for human digestive system. Before drawing the diagram, we should quickly recapitulate the components of human digestive system so that you will get a quick review also. So, my dear students, as I have made you understand this thing, human digestive system is having two important components. Number one is the tube, which is starting from mouth and ending at anus. That tube is your alimentary canal, which is starting at mouth and ending at anus. This is the same way I have taught you in my lecture number 4. Now, my dear students, apart from alimentary canal and what else is there in alimentary canal, we have digestive glands also. So, digestive glands, what are glands, how many types of glands are there, I have taught you that in lecture number 4. Now, what are the important digestive glands which we are going to study under human digestive system are salivary glands, number 1, number 2, the liver, number 3, pancreas, number 4, we are going to then take up gastric glands, and number 5 is going to be your intestinal gland. So, my dear students, although this is for CBSE class 10 students, as far as 11th class students are concerned, they must remember that they have to study the same content beyond this information. So, I'll be uploading those lectures separately. So, for class 11th, the lecture is going to be different from what is this for class 10. But they should remember, class 11 students should remember that the basics is the same. The difference is that, suppose here for class 10th, I'm going to discuss, buccal cavity in terms of the palate, tongue and jaws. But for class 11th, we have to go into the details of the tongue. We have to go into the structure of the tongue. We have to show the different parts of the tongue. We have to show the different types of the taste buds which are there. And I have to take you into the details of pharynx. I have to take you into the details about the structure of stomach more in detail. Even we have to go into the histology of the digestive system. So that is not included in class 10th. So class 11 students will receive the lectures separately. The lectures for class 11th will be uploaded separately for human physiology, specifically the human digestive system. So this was important information. Now this is the stuff which we are going to basically draw in a diagrammatic manner. So let me quickly recapitulate what is there in the alimentary canal. We'll start from mouth, which is going to be the slit guarded by the 2 lips. And then we'll see the buccal cavity, which we also call oral cavity. It'll be having 3 parts: roof, the floor and the sides. The roof, what we call the palate. So we have anterior hard palate and posterior soft palate. What is that? I have made you understand in lecture number 4. Then we'll see the tongue on the floor, which is attached at the posterior portion. And then we'll see the sides. On the sides, we'll see the jaws, the upper jaw and the lower jaw with the teeth. Yeah, definitely we have to go into the structure of teeth for this class, and we have to look at the different terminologies which are associated with tooth. Then I'll take you to this pharynx, which is going to be a passage for both air and food. And then I'll take you to the food pipe, the esophagus. And then you'll see the stomach and its parts, fundus, body, cardiac and pylorus. Then we'll see the small intestine with its parts, duodenum, jejunum, ileum. And then we'll see the large intestines with its parts, cecum, colon, rectum. And I'll be showing you the different parts of the colon, that is ascending colon, transverse colon, descending colon and sigmoid colon. At the last, we'll label the anus. And within the same diagram, at different locations, you will be able to see the digestive glands also. So we'll be trying to show salivary glands somewhere in this particular part, and then we'll see the digestive glands over here, and then we'll see near duodenum, you will see the secretion of liver and pancreas coming, and then in small intestines, there will be the intestinal glands. So now let us, without wasting any time, directly go to the diagrammatic part. Where's my raster? Yeah, it's here. So now let us draw the digestive system, and you have to remember that whatever you will be viewing on this diagram is going to be the internal view of the body. As far as the topmost portion, the head, is concerned, you will be having a view of the bilateral cut. Suppose if there is a head and we have cut it in this plane, so you'll be able to see what is present inside the head as far as the digestive system is concerned. So say for example, this is the side view of the nose, and you know, if you look at the nose, outside you will be able to see the two nostrils, okay? But these two nostrils, they basically lead to a cavity which is called the nasal cavity. So this is the representation of the nose, the side of the nose. And if we look inside the body, this will be taking us to the cavity which is called the nasal cavity, okay? So the nostril is leading you to the nasal cavity. And this cavity, the nasal cavity, is basically separated from your buccal cavity with the help of this palate, okay? So now I'll be showing a block like this. This block basically represents the palate, the roof of your buccal cavity. So you have to get an idea first of all. So now let me show you the lower part. Suppose this is the lower part, then now you will get an idea what I'm trying to show you. So say for example, I'll make something like this. Now this will become understandable. See, you are now having a view of what is inside this part of your face. If you cut it like this, what will be the vision inside? What will be the things inside? Although this is very basic diagram, but this will give you a clear-cut idea. So this opening over here at the top is basically the external nostril. Okay, this is the opening over here, the external nostril. And I've told you that this nostril basically takes you to the passage, this passage through which air enters inside. What will you call this passage? Is basically simply you will call it nasal passage. Let me see whether it's coming within the frame. No, I have to write down this like here. I don't need to go so much high because you will not be able to visualize it. So I'll write down over here. So this is basically which passage is the nasal passage, the job of which is to basically take air into your body. Can you read this? Yeah, nasal passage. So if this is external nostril, what will be this particular part called, which is leading this passage into the buccal cavity, we can say, into the back part of the buccal cavity, we can say. This you can call the internal nostril. If you will try to feel with your tongue on top of your buccal cavity, at the back portion you will find two openings. Those two openings which are at the back of your palate, what you call the posterior palate, those two openings are called internal nostrils, or you can call them internal nares. So in this diagram right now, you are representing all the parts of your respiratory system basically. So this is the external nostril leading you to the nasal passage, which leads you to the internal nostril. Okay. Now, what is this opening? What can we call this opening now? This is the opening which is made up of the two lips. That is what is called the mouth. The opening which is guarded by two lips, the slit, this aperture is basically your mouth. And then mouth leads inside into a cavity. So again you see a cavity. Okay. You can recollect the information. This cavity is called we call it buccal cavity, or you can call it oral cavity. So simple. Okay. if you can guess that I have made depressions, I have made depression here and depression here. These depressions represent the pits in your jaw, which will have in it the teeth. Okay, so we are trying to make our diagram as informative as possible. Now, if we talk about buccal cavity in detail, so if we talk about this buccal cavity or oral cavity in detail, we need to find out the palate. So this block which separates the buccal cavity from the nasal passage, this block is basically your palate. So it has the anterior hard palate and posterior soft palate. And this is the floor over here, the floor of your buccal cavity, to which is attached your tongue. So this represents, this is the place where you will find out the tongue in your buccal cavity, the representation. And you know that there will be jaws in the sides, which will be having in them embedded will be the, so over here will be embedded what? There will be the teeth. Yeah. So these are going to be the representations of your teeth. So this depression which I have made is to give you an indication that there are sockets in which basically teeth will be embedded. Okay. So till now you got the important parts. Over here, mouth you saw, and you saw the buccal cavity, oral cavity, along with the palate, the tongue, and the jaws with the teeth. Okay. Now, after that, you will be able to find a passage. Over here, this part, roughly it resembles a, doesn't it resemble a cone? It resembles a cone. That's why I use the word conical passage, which is common for air which is coming from here and for food which is going to come from here. So what will be the name for this conical passage is basically your pharynx. So this is going to be your pharynx, the common passage for air and food. That's very, very important. Its length is going to be, approximately 12 centimeters long. Okay. If you want to remember something more about pharynx, so you can remember that it has itself 3 parts. Okay. So pharynx itself has 3 parts. I'll not be complicating my diagram. I'll give you the names of the 3 parts of pharynx over here. First part of pharynx, which is near the internal nostril, that's called nasopharynx. Okay, you can remember from here. So naso, if naso is the term, so this is the place of your nasopharynx. Okay. Second is going to be the oropharynx, means that it's the part which is going to receive the food from the buccal cavity. So this part is going to be the oropharynx for this class. And third is going to be over here, this part, which is going to be very close to the voice box. Since voice box is called larynx, we call this laryngopharynx. Okay, this is going to be very close to the larynx, the voice box. That's why we call it laryngopharynx. So this is an extra. If you want to remember, you can remember. Coming back to the diagram, now pharynx has 2 openings at the bottom. One is going to take you into the food pipe, and another opening is going to take you into the windpipe. So you are now supposed to understand about the tubes. This tube which is present at the back, this is the nose, this is the front part, this is the mouth part. The tube which is present at the back is basically your food pipe. Okay, suppose I'm standing like this. This is my nose, this is my mouth. In front of my chest there will be windpipe, and behind windpipe will be the what will be there is the esophagus. So suppose this diagram is like this. Okay, now this is the nose part, this is the mouth part, and if I'm trying to show now the position of the food pipe and windpipe, the food pipe is going to be behind. So in front of my chest, what is going to be present is basically the windpipe, and behind that windpipe will be the food pipe. That's the point. Okay. Food pipe is also called esophagus. Very, very important. Roughly of the length of about 25 centimeters. Okay. Its length is going to be 25 centimeters. Another pipe is going to be the trachea. This is the trachea, or what you call the windpipe, which is not our discussion for the time being. At the top of the windpipe, you know what is present is basically this voice box, what we call the larynx. Okay? And the opening is called opening of windpipe. The aperture at the top of the windpipe through which air basically enters, that is called glottis. What is that called? That is called glottis. You have to remember. The opening of trachea is called glottis. And similarly, you have an opening for the food pipe also, which is not open always. It opens once you swallow the food. So otherwise it's collapsed. This opening is called gullet. What is it called? Gullet. So you have to remember that pharynx is going to lead into two openings. One is going to be the glottis for the air to go into the trachea, and another is going to be the gullet to lead to the esophagus. Another important thing which you need to remember is this cartilage which is present here. This cartilage which is going to prevent the entry of food into the trachea. It's going to basically cover the trachea as a lid so that the food which we swallow doesn't enter into the trachea. This is very, very important. This blue colored cartilage is called the epiglottis. What is it called? Epiglottis. It is the cartilaginous lid. Okay, the location is clear that it's present at the top of the windpipe. And the purpose is just to prevent the entry of the food into the windpipe once we swallow the food. So that the food will directly enter into the, obviously if this lid will cover this part, obviously the food will enter into the esophagus. And then esophagus will take that food into the next part, which is going to be the stomach. Very, very important thing to remember over here is basically the movement of food. The movement of food in esophagus, that takes place by the contraction and relaxation of the muscles of esophagus. That, I'll write down over here, contraction and relaxation of the muscles of esophagus is called, that's very, very important. This rhythmic contraction and relaxation of the muscles of esophagus is called peristalsis, or you can call that peristaltic, what do you call this? Peristaltic movement. So, if there is a bowl of food which has reached over here, now it has to move in downward direction. What is that movement called which will carry this food in the downward direction is peristaltic movement, where the muscles of the esophagus will first contract and then they will relax in the backward direction, taking the food to the next place. Again there will be contraction followed by relaxation of muscles. This rhythmic, it's not an unrhythmic movement. It's a rhythmic contraction followed by relaxation, contraction followed by relaxation. This type of movement is called peristaltic movement. You will find out the same movements taking place in the stomach, also taking place in small intestines and large intestines to carry the food in the forward direction. Now let me show you the next part of the digestive system, and before that I will rub off this part so that I get the free space. And my dear students, over here, now let us go to the next part. So my dear students, this esophagus is going to penetrate a muscular partition which is there between the chest cavity and the abdominal cavity. So this particular portion is going to be the chest cavity, in which you will find the lungs. And the other parts of the digestive system will be present below that partition. That lower portion is your abdominal cavity. So now I'll be showing with green color a muscular partition, a muscular separation which is going to demarcate the above part from the below part of the body. So this is the representation. You have to remember, it's basically a muscular partition. Okay, a kind of separation. It's a muscular partition which is very, very important to remember. It's called diaphragm. What is it called? Diaphragm. So above diaphragm you will find the chest cavity, what is also called the thoracic cavity. Remember this, it is very, very important. So this cavity is going to be, remember the other simple name, this is chest or thoracic cavity. That will be on the top, which is going to contain your lungs. But below this you are going to find out the abdominal cavity. Okay, abdominal cavity is going to contain the rest parts of your human digestive system. So whatever will be now showing below this diaphragm is going to represent the abdominal cavity. We are not concerned with the thoracic cavity over here. This was very important. Okay. Now, my dear students, what will this esophagus do? It has to penetrate this part. So it has to come out through the diaphragm and it has to reach to the abdominal cavity. Okay. Now it will join this muscular J-shaped structure. Okay. See the shape. It is roughly the shape of this English letter J. Isn't it like this shape? So this represents this J shape. So we say that this is the J-shaped muscular organ, and this is what is basically your stomach. Okay, very, very important for you people to remember some of the important things which are associated with stomach. Okay, my dear students, this particular part has a valve. Okay, so over here you will find a valve, and over here at the end part you will find another valve. These valves are very important because they prevent the backflows. Say for example, this will prevent the flow of the food from stomach into the esophagus. It is going to prevent the refluxes, and this is going to prevent the exit of the food before digestion. So this valve is going to ensure that the food remains in the stomach till it's digested. And this valve makes it sure that once food comes here, it's not refluxed back. It doesn't go back into the esophagus. Okay. Now we have to remember the names of these two valves. Okay. This valve is called the cardiac sphincter. Sphincter is the another term we use for valve. Okay. So if you are comfortable with valve, you can remember valve. It's V-A-L-V-E, or you can remember sphincter. This is very, specific as far as biology is concerned. And this is called the pyloric sphincter. So I first of all gave you the names of the two sphincters. Okay. Now cardiac is something which is related to heart. It's called cardiac because this part is close to the heart, because above this near this particular portion you have the location for the heart, near this particular portion. Okay, although heart is rested there between the two lungs, but this is the particular portion. Since it comes in vicinity, that's why it's labeled as cardiac sphincter. This part of stomach is called the cardiac part of the stomach, this part. So this is the first part of the stomach, the cardiac part of the stomach. This particular part which is going to receive the food first. This part of stomach is called the fundus part. Remember, I have told you the names of these parts in my lecture number 4. Fundus part. And you saw these parts in the beginning also. So this part, this topmost part is called the fundus part. This region is called the cardiac part. This part is called, this majority part is called the body part. Okay, this is called the body part. And at the last, you have this narrow part which is called the pylorus. So you got all the parts of the stomach. First part is the cardiac part, this part. Second part is the fundus part. Third part is the body part. And fourth part is the pylorus part. Okay. Once now the food is digested in the stomach, it then has to leave. Okay. It leaves and enters into the small intestines. So now we are going to show the small intestine. So this part, this C-shaped part is the first part of the small intestine. Okay. So this is going to be the first part of the small intestine. And I label it over here. It's the, let me remove this. This part is your duodenum. What is it? This is the duodenum part. Okay. And then you have to show like now this mesh kind of a thing. This forms the rest of the part of your small intestines over here. Okay. So this is highly coiled. The immediate next part is called the jejunum. Smallest part is duodenum. The slightly larger part is jejunum. The largest part is this highly coiled part which is called the ileum, ileum. This is highly coiled. Okay, you will not be finding it in a loose form. You will find it in a coiled form. These three together make up your small intestines. That's very, very important. Okay. Now, coming to the large intestines. That's very, very important. Large intestine starts near this point. Okay. So, you first of all try to find out why is it called large intestine, because it's going to be slightly broader than the small intestine. The diameter is going to be very large. Try and understand. See, like this. Now the tube which I'll be making is going to have a larger diameter, like this. Okay. Try and notice the difference. Okay. Okay. Then I'll slightly tilt. And then I'll go like this, and then since I have lesser space, so I'll show the rest of the part on the side. Okay, I'll show you the rest of the part on the side. If you'll notice, let me see whether it's visible. Yeah, it's slightly visible. And see, this part, this blue colored part is the large intestine part. Okay. Now, if you will notice that the duodenum is present above and this jejunum and ileum is present in a coiled form within this structure of the large intestine. And comparatively, this large intestine has the larger diameter. Okay. This is the first part of the large intestine which is called I'll use the black pen for labeling the large intestine. Okay. This part is the cecum part. What is it? Cecum. This part is the ascending colon. This part is the transverse colon. This part is the descending colon. This is slightly representing an S, slightly, like this, slight S. That's why we call this part, what do we call this part? Sigmoid, what do we call it? Sigmoid colon. I hope it comes in the frame. Yeah, it's called sigmoid colon. And then you find this particular pouch over here, this is the rectum, and the opening here is the anus. So if I'll show you here, I'll show you like this. So this was ascending colon, this is transverse colon, this is descending colon, then you have the sigmoid colon, okay, and then over here you will find out the sac in which the undigested food will be stored for some time. This particular portion is the rectum portion, okay, and then it will finally lead to the aperture, that's called the anus. So these parts are clear from here. Ascending colon is there, transverse colon is there. So if I'll try to show, I'll make like this. So this is going to be the ascending colon, okay, then you will have the transverse colon, and then you will have the descending colon, and then you will have the sigmoid colon, and finally you will come to this particular part where the undigested food will be stored temporarily, and then this aperture anus, okay. Now you have to notice that this part, which is the cecum part, cecum, to it you will find attached a projection, a small projection, a small finger-like projection, which is basically a vestigial organ, and the name of this organ is Vermiform Appendix. What is it? It's called Vermiform. It's a worm-like extension. Vermiform Appendix. Remember that it doesn't have any major role to play. It's a vestigial organ, something which is non-functional. So it is non-functional, although it has functions, but you can remember that it's non-functional, okay. So in this diagram you can show it over here because it's associated with the cecum part. So what is this projection? This is your Vermiform Appendix. Its infection is called appendicitis. Yeah, Alhamdulillah, this is all clear on the diagram. So I have tried to make it very loose. I don't want to put it very close so that you will get a vision about everything. You will get to notice the orientation of everything. Okay. So if we will try to follow the direction of the food, we'll be taking the food via mouth. It will go into the buccal cavity, and then we will masticate the food with the help of the teeth, and then that food we'll call that chewed food bolus. That will be then swallowed, and that will first of all go to the pharynx, and then it will enter into the esophagus, and then esophagus will carry it to the stomach. It will reach to the cardiac part, then it will go to the body, then pylorus, and then it will come out, go to the small intestine, the green color. The first part of the small intestine is the duodenum. The second part of the small intestine is the jejunum. And the third major coiled part is the ileum. And once the digestion will be done, whatever will be the undigested food, that will be thrown into the large intestine, the blue one. The first part of the large intestine is the cecum. I've written that with the black color. So this is the first part of the large intestine, cecum. The second part is the ascending colon. The third part is the transverse colon. Fourth part is the descending colon. Fifth part is the sigmoid colon. Sixth part is the rectum, and finally the anus. The clear view is over here. So you have cecum, and then you have this ascending colon, then you have this transverse colon, then you have this descending colon, and then you have this sigmoid colon, finally the rectum, and this total forms your large intestine. Okay, and to cecum is attached a worm-like structure which doesn't have any specific function. It's non-functional. That's why you call this, the name of this vestigial organ is Vermiform Appendix. Okay, now it's the time for you people to add something to this diagram. Okay, I'll show you a small version over here. Then I'll show you a detailed view after erasing the board. So now we will try to show the liver. So I'll use the green pen. I'll show a triangular structure over here. This is the liver. And over here I am trying to show you, my dear students, this is the Gall Bladder. Okay, and from Gall Bladder what is going to come is basically the Bile Duct over here. And then here with this blue color, I'll be showing you another gland which is leaf shaped. Okay, this is the pancreas, and I will be showing you the duct which is actually opening in the duodenum. This green colored bile duct has to join the pancreatic duct. Okay, and then the two juices will together come to the duodenum. Try and understand. If it is difficult for you to understand, you will be getting the clear idea afterwards. Okay, so this over here, this leaf shaped gland, you got the position. Actual position is very important. This is the pancreas over here. So you got the position. It's located in between the stomach and the large intestines. A location is very, very important. And this is the liver. And this over here is the Gall Bladder. This is very, very important to notice over here. Okay. And another important thing which is very important to remember over here is the position of the salivary glands. So I'll be making 3 dots. Let me use the blue color because I have not used blue over here. So I'll make one gland over here because this is the location of the air. And this gland is present below air. So this is one salivary gland. This is the duct which comes to the buccal cavity. At the end here you have another salivary gland. Duct comes here. And below tongue you have another salivary gland. And its duct opens here. So you have 3 salivary glands. Let us label them. This is the parotid salivary gland. This one is the submaxillary. It's good to call it submandibular. Submaxillary salivary gland. And this one is the sublingual salivary gland. So you got the 3 salivary glands also. Okay. So you have one salivary gland present below air. The name of that salivary gland is parotid salivary gland. One salivary gland present at the end of the lower jaw. At the end of the lower jaw. That is called the submaxillary salivary gland. It's you'll find it that it's somewhere labeled as submandibular. That's also correct. And this salivary gland is present below tongue, and it's called sublingual because lingua means tongue. Sublingual salivary gland. So you got everything which is associated with the digestive system. All the glands are over here. Now I will try to make you understand about the position of liver and pancreas, and I'll make you understand about these ducts in a bit. Okay? Let me erase the diagram. So my dear students, this is the very important part. This is basically an enlarged view of 2 important glands. One is your liver, another is your pancreas. Okay? So these 2 important glands, I have basically labeled them in the previous diagram also. But since that diagram was very small in size, and I don't want you people to have any confusion as far as the arrangement of these 2 glands is concerned. And there are certain ducts whose name you have to basically remember. For that matter, the best thing is to take out these important things out from the diagram and discuss about them in detail. So let us take this opportunity to discuss about these 2 important glands in detail. As far as liver is concerned, my dear students, I've shown that liver by means of a triangle over here. Although liver has 5 different lobes, which we don't need to go into right now. So for us, this is the liver representation, and as far as liver is concerned, it's the largest gland of your body. The largest gland of your body with a weight of about 1.5 kilograms. Okay. This is situated on the upper right side of your abdominal cavity. If you remember the diagram, I've shown that on that diagram, I've placed liver towards my left side, which basically is the right side of the organism's body. So the position of liver is upper right side of the abdominal cavity. And why is liver so important? Because as far as digestion is concerned, liver produces an important juice that's called bile juice. Okay, it's produced by liver. Remember this point. It's produced by liver, but liver stores this juice in another, you can say another organ that's called gall bladder. So in this diagram, let us focus where is gall bladder. This is liver, and to liver is attached a small sac. This sac or this pouch or this bag is basically your gall bladder. Now, what is the job of gall bladder? It is to store bile juice. Okay, clear? Now, bile juice is produced by liver. So, the liver tissue is generating bile juice. And that juice travels through these two ducts. The name of these two ducts is basically right and left hepatic duct. You can remember these two ducts. One is the right hepatic duct, another is the left hepatic duct. So these two ducts basically drain the bile juice from the liver towards the gallbladder. Now, after right and left hepatic duct, you see this small duct which is basically formed by the combination of the two. This duct from here to here, it's called the hepatic duct. You can call it common hepatic duct. So this is hepatic duct. Hepatic duct then carries this bile juice to the gallbladder. Now this particular part of the duct which is basically connected with the gallbladder, this small part, this small region is called the cystic duct. Okay, this is called the cystic duct. Now notice, once bile is produced, it travels through right hepatic duct and left hepatic duct. Then it travels through the common hepatic duct. Then it goes through the cystic duct and is stored in gall bladder. Clear to you people? Now, once for digestion, your body requires bile juice. That time it comes out from the gall bladder and goes to the cystic duct and then travels out through this duct. Okay, so this duct becomes important. This duct through which bile is right now traveling is your common bile duct, or you can simply call it bile duct. So this one is the bile duct which carries this bile juice towards your digestive system. Now the question arises, where is this bile juice supposed to go? This bile juice is supposed to go to the duodenum. Now this is not duodenum. This tube is basically duodenum. So I've written this is duodenum. Okay, duodenum is basically the first part of your small intestine. So bile juice has to reach to the small intestine. Okay. Now, this particular duct finally opens into the duodenum. The question arises, which duct is it? For that, we have to go to the pancreas. Pancreas is the second largest gland of your body. This was the first largest gland of your body. This is the second largest gland of your body. It's leaf-shaped, as you can see from the diagram. It's yellowish in color and it is a heterocrine gland. I've made you understand what heterocrine means. Heterocrine means that it's both endocrine as well as exocrine in nature. This gland produces pancreatic juice. Apart from pancreatic juice, it also produces hormones, with which we are not concerned right now. So it produces pancreatic juice. So suppose these are the cells which are producing pancreatic juice. They release the pancreatic juice into this duct, the longer duct. This is called the pancreatic duct, the duct which I have made in green color. Okay, pancreatic duct, then this duct receives the secretion from the common bile duct. Then you get a duct through which both pancreatic juice as well as the bile juice will travel. This portion through which both bile juice and pancreatic juice will reach to what? Will reach to duodenum. This part is called the, this is very important, it's called the hepatopancreatic duct. This is called hepatopancreatic duct. Very important. So there will be a sphincter which will be present over here. You don't require that for class 10. This much is more than sufficient for you people to remember. So hepatopancreatic duct is the common duct which carries both the bile juice as well as the pancreatic juice. Bile juice which is coming from liver and pancreatic juice which is coming from pancreas. You shouldn't get confused. Bile juice is not directly coming from liver. It's getting first of all stored in gallbladder, then it comes from gallbladder. The duct which is going to release this juice into the duodenum is going to be the hepatopancreatic duct. Okay, this is very important for you people. Now both the juices are over here. So you have now both pancreatic juice, you have bile juice, and you have the food coming from the stomach. So further digestion will take place here. After the digestion in stomach is done, then the digestion will take place in the duodenum. Now after this we are supposed to go into the process of digestion. Since now we know about the glands, we know about the digestive system, how it looks, so where are the different parts, where from the secretions are going to come, you know everything about them. Even I have given you the detailed account for liver and pancreas and the duct system through which the juices have to come. Now our second topic, which is very very important, that's going to be the mechanism of digestion of food in man, or what you call the process of digestion in man, whereby we will see how different enzymes will help in the process of digestion, whereby we will come to understand the role of saliva or the salivary juice, gastric juice, your pancreatic juice, bile juice and intestinal juice. We'll see what these juices contain and what are the names of those enzymes which are present in these juices and how those juices help in the digestion of your food. That will be taking up in our next lecture. Till then, please take care of yourselves and remember me in your prayers. Take care. Allah Hafiz.